Hi everyone, this is Nikki and I'm so glad to have you here today. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Today we're going to look at easy and quick Christmas cards or holiday cards. You can put any type of sentiment on these that you want. I am going to be using some products from the new release of Simon Says Stamp, which is called Season of Wonder. It does not mean you need to have these products. I'm going to talk to you about different ways that you can use things. I'm going to start with this autumn greetings wreath and I'm going to use it in Christmas colors. So it's a real simple two-step stencil, but I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks, and we're just going to talk about ways to get these cards done and some different properties that we're trying to do to create easy mailable cards. So first thing, look at your stencils. Do you have something that you could use holiday colors on, even if it's not meant to be that way? This one is called the Autumn Greetings, so it's for fall, but it's not necessarily made for Christmas or holidays. So you can get other stencils, things that you think will look good, and tape mask them off, which I'm using some Spellbinders tape, I'm using some Post-it notes, and I'm going to decide where to put my green and where I'm going to put my red. But I'm going to need to do a little bit of masking on this because it has this one layer here. So I'm going to mask off things that would be red, and I'm going to use the green to color everything else in. So it's going to be fairly quick on the stenciling once I get the areas masked off that I don't need. Okay, I know this looks like a hot mess, but I just wanted to use tape that I already had and Post-it notes that are sitting on my desk. So remember, you've got all kinds of options you can use for masking. If you're like me, I keep so many pieces of tape on my desk that it's easy just to grab some pieces and put them on this stencil. So no big deal. So once I've done this, I'm going to lay down. The color that I'm using is Simon Says Stamp Perfection, and it is just kind of like a light limeish green. So another thing I wanted to show you how to stretch is your ink colors. So I'm using Perfection and I'm using a large blending brush. The larger the brush that you use, the lighter the application is on your stenciled area. So I've got this large brush here, and then I'm going to grab a smaller brush and we're going to use it for details. So let me get all of it colored in. I'll zoom past that, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this exact same ink color and create some dimension and detail that really makes this stand out. So the easiest way to do this with one color is to change out your brushes. So now I've got a much smaller brush, which is going to give me a much darker, and it helps me, just apply the color in certain areas. So I'm adding some depth to this one layer of stencil. So if you only have a one layer stencil, this is a great way to really make this pop off the page. You are going to be so amazed when you see it in the end. It really makes a drastic difference in what looks, how it looks. It's not just a flat card anymore. It's got some dimension to it, and it really gives it a wow factor. Now remember I said we could reuse some things. So with these berries, I've got this Post-it note, and it's sticky. It's one of those Post-it notes that's sticky all the way around. Of course, it's losing the sticky on that edge right there. But you can tear tape, you can change things around to make sure you've got all your edges covered. I'm going to speed this up and get this taped off, and then I'm going to look at blending with the red. So once I've got everything masked, I do one area at a time on a stencil like this. It's just easier. So I'm going in with my large brush again. I'm using the color Watermelon, which you could use whatever color you want, whatever kind of ink pads you have. And I'm doing a light layer. And then I'm going to go back in with the small brush, I almost forgot right there, small brush of Watermelon, and I'm going to add some detail to this. So I'm kind of going along the edges, and you see that I tapped that off onto the mat there. You don't want to leave brush marks on your image, so it's always nice to kind of tap off a little bit of excess ink and then go back, because you can fill it in many times, but if you get a big dark mark on it, sometimes it's hard to get that off. So do it as many times as you want. Just tap the ink off to the side and keep adding to create that dimension. All right, so I've done all these areas, and I'm going to show you how to fix a mistake as well, because when you see that I reveal this, I have a little bit of red that has overlapped into one of my leaves. Do you see it? Hang on, right here in the middle. You see that little spot? I'm going to show you how to fix that also, because remember, it's just ink on paper. It can come off. So we'll get that off and we'll make it just blend in and you will never know. Now we're going to move to our next stencil. I'm not going to try to remove any ink until I've got the next stencil done. So this stencil is even simpler because it's the detail, and so I'm using my darker color cherry and my small brushes. I'm not doing any masking because they're little tiny areas, and that makes that cherry, one, it's a slightly darker color than watermelon, so I'm using two that are kind of in a color family right next to each other, and also I'm using the small brush again, so I'm getting a really dark application. So let's look at how this looks. It looks so good. So let's fix that mistake. So right here, in my old crafting days, I might have just thrown this whole thing away because of that. But look, I'm going to use a little bit of water on a detail brush, and I'm just going to get it slightly wet and just remove that. You don't want much water, but do you see that I just did that? And notice when I wiped that brush on my hand, there was no liquid on it. So it's wet, but it's barely wet, and you can use it like an eraser. So yes, there is still a very small smidge right there, but we're going to cover that up with some green and it's going to look amazing. Now, yes, if I was not putting a sentiment over this, maybe I would worry about it and try to fix it with an embellishment, but I knew that I was going to put a big sentiment. I'm not sure which one yet. That's why I'm holding up my stamp thing to see, but I'm going to put a big sentiment in black here. I'm not going to heat emboss or anything to make it raise up off the surface because I'm going to keep this as a pretty simple card. So I decide that I'm going to use Season's Greetings, plus a small strip that comes in that same set. That's a set by CZ Designs. And if you don't have a set of Christmas greetings, it is a great investment to buy one that has lots of different fonts and sizes so that you got those. So I really do recommend this Simon Says stamp one. It's a really nice one, but you can use anything you have. I just wanted to take up some space, and you see I'm going to stamp this in a very dark black. My favorite dark black, which is called VersaFine Claire Nocturne. Now, if you only have an acrylic block, that's fine too. You might need to use a T-ruler or something like that to figure out your placement. This Altenew stamp wheel is very nice in that you can pick it up off the card, flip it over, and start adding your ink. And then when you flip this little thing back over, it's exactly in the right place wherever you picked it up from. So it's very nice in that you don't have to worry about positioning except for one time. So once you've positioned it the way you want it, there it is. And then you can stamp it as many times as you want. And when you're doing a really dark black greeting like this, I do like to stamp this 2 or 3 times just to get that effect. Okay, here it is with 3 stamps. Doesn't that look nice? Oh my goodness, I think this would just be so exciting to get in the mail. Okay, now these are some rainbow gem stickers that I have from the Simon Says stamp. It's a different release. It's the Rainbow Splash release, and they are teeny. They're a little hard to deal with because they do have that sticky side and you're trying to get them with tweezers, but they do not have a very high profile, so they fit through. They don't make your card too thick to go through regular mail, so you don't have any extra charges, which is nice, and it still gives that extra little shine to it. You could also just leave your stenciling. The stenciling is so impressive that you don't have to add these. I just love sparkle, so I decided I would add red little jewels everywhere that I have the nice red berries. And here's how it looks. Isn't that cute? And so I think that these little beads are about 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters off there, but definitely still fits through regular postage. Next, we're going to look at a layered stamp set. This also, you could use any stamp set you have. I just like this tree because it's very, I could use it for all kinds of seasons because you don't have to put the ornaments on it. It could just be a tree in your background. I'm going to use 3 of the colors in the set of minis from Simon Says Stamp, but you could use 1 color and just stamp it multiple times. You could use multiple colors. You can do all kinds of things. I'm just going to use 3 because I happen to have them and they go in order, lightest to darkest. And so I'm going to start with my lightest layer. All right, here's the second color. This is a brighter green. I believe it's called Spruce. It will be listed in the description where I'll put links to all of these things. Like I said, you could use the same ink pad and stamp multiple times. So you could take your first layer, stamp it once, take your second layer, stamp it 2 or 3 times to change the color, and the same thing with that third layer, or even on the third layer, mix your colors and add a little bit of black into the ink. So you could always stamp with the green color, add a little bit of black ink, or use a blending brush on it. That way you could get more from your stamp pads. Doesn't that look beautiful? I just love it. So now what I'm going to do is use the stamp that is made to be snow, or it could be ornaments. You could do lots of different colors, but you would need to, if you're stamping over something dark like this, you would need like to heat emboss whatever color this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp in a color, and then I'm going to use that same placement for my ornaments. So I take those same rainbow gems and I'm going to use them. I've kind of, in my head, separated this tree into about 5 parts. So I'm going to come in with 5 colors. Purple is going to be my bottom one. And I like to get started at the top, and then I'm going to kind of look at how much area I have to decide where I'm going to put my other ones. But isn't it so nice that you already have where these little ornaments are going laid out? So it's kind of a cool pattern that I wouldn't have thought of. That's really nice to have on here. So I just love doing this. Once again, these are those same gems from Simon Says Stamp that are very low profile, so you can mail the card very easily like this. So once I have all my jewels on, I decide that I need to put my sentiment on, which I'm going to use this. It comes in the same set with this tree, and it's Joy to the World. It's curved. You can curve it more if you want to, but I love how it fits around that tree perfectly. And then I'm using this to stamp it a few times to make it nice and dark. When I looked at this, I realized I really wanted a star on the top of my tree. So once again, you could stamp this in yellow or something like that, but it's not. It's going to be transparent. I wanted mine to be opaque. So what I decided to do was use some Versamark embossing ink. And then I'm going to add a little bit of gold embossing to create myself a gold star on the top of this tree. I just love the addition of the gold star. It looks so good. Now I'm going to back this with some black cardstock, and this card will be done. I'm going to show you both cards up close, and let's talk real quick about the tips and tricks that we did in this video. So my goal with this video is just to have you get out some products and start making some cards. With your Christmas and holiday cards, it's very easy to just grab a stencil and make some pretty flat cards. Plus they mail great. So you don't have to add the embellishments like I did if that worries you in the mail. Like I said, these do mail great. But you've got options. You can use one ink pad, you can use multiple, you can use layered stencils, a single layer. Anything is going to be so exciting to whoever receives these cards. They're going to be so happy somebody took the time to make a card for them. So get your supplies out and try it. Tag me if you use these suggestions. I would love to see your projects. And make sure if you haven't done it yet that you hit the like, subscribe on my channel, and find me out on social media. I have all of the links to everything that I used in this video in the description below, and I've popped up another video that I think you might enjoy. So have a great day. Bye!